Oh, yo. Ho, ho. Dom Mafia, what's up? What's up? Welcome to yet another edition of Dom Mafia Live, baby. Okay, listen, there's no surprise to any of us that the Buffalo Bills 53-man roster just recently ended up being released. And there are some surprises, okay? Some certain surprises. I mean, honestly, one thing I just want to throw out there is 9 times out of 10 when you see larger names end up getting the boot, right? Such as Jacob Hollister and Reed Ferguson, most notably. Uh, a lot of the times they're just cutting them and then they're going to re-sign them on a cheaper deal as far as that works out. There's like moves that Brandon Beane's going on. I mean, we're going to dive into this. I actually have an article like set up that has the full 53-man roster that we're going to look through. We're going to dissect. We're going to look at who ended up getting cut, etc. Surprise names here and there. And we're definitely going to have a conversation. But lo and behold, we are that much closer to the week 1 matchup, and I am absolutely pumped. So starting off, so Chino goes, my surprise cut was Reed Ferguson. I agree with you, man. I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, you can't tell me that AJ Epinesa ended up just impressing so much during that week 3 preseason game where I'm pretty sure he had a botch snap a couple of times, but we're going to get into that here in a second. So Don Keith says Reed and Hollister will both be back. They are vested veterans, so they can resign with us tomorrow afternoon. And there will be spots on the 53 since a couple will be going on the IR tomorrow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dan, my guy, yo diddly ho. Yo diddly ho. I think I'm going to have to start implementing that in a couple of videos this year. Rather than yo ho ho, I'm just going to go yo diddly ho. That's pretty good. I am always a fan of any type of variation of my introduction. Donovan Gomez, yo, Dan, I just met Isaiah McKenzie at the Walden Galleria. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. How's he looking? Was he still like in like that strap for his injury? I forgot if it was a shoulder injury or something like that. And so did you ask him how he was feeling? and so is dude man gonna be able to play? It is set in stone. Donald said, yo, Dan, it is set in stone. Done right. Absolutely, my friend. We have a squad and Bean we trust. We really, really do. Dante, my guy. Dan, are you going to the home opener? Dude, no, I am not, but I am going to week 3 against the Washington football team. And I'm going to make an announcement about that. There's a couple of games I'm going to. Week 1, I'm not going to be able to make it for that. But so I'll just be watching it at my local bar, and I'll still stream everything, but I just won't be at Buffalo that week. Ned Flanders, that shit, Dan. Hollister's gone, nah, he was in sweats and said he was doing good. Donovan said he was in sweats and he was just doing good, my man. Like, I would have sat there and I've been like, hey, man, what's the status? What's the status, man? Listen, I need you. So I need you out there running jet routes and just being able to, and so return some footballs for us, all right? But no, guys, listen, I'm like actually really excited about the 53. As many of you know, I put out a million different videos of like what I thought the 53 was going to be. And it's insane. DH, what's good, man? Dude, doing well, bro. Doing well. Pumped about it. I figured that I'd hop on here so we could talk about the 53-man roster. I have a fantasy football draft starting at 8:30. I'm drafting 11th out of a 12-man league, so I got to probably put a little bit of focus on that. But I wanted to hop on here because there's a lot for us to talk about, specifically the 53, the new stadium news, which is great. So we can finally get rid of that nonsense about the Bills ever moving anywhere but Buffalo. Excited about that. We'll see what's going on. Ryan says, I'm happy Marquez Stevenson made it. He would have been swooped up so quickly. It's not even funny. I definitely agree with you. I do want to say that I think that a large reason why he did make the team had to do with the fact that Isaiah McKenzie ended up getting injured. And then plus his performance in the preseason was absolutely insane. So we'll definitely see what is going on from there. Stan, my guy, what's good? Watching from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Love your content. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. I love Tennessee. Big Nashville guy. I'm a big Pigeon Forge guy. I'm a big Gatlinburg guy. Knoxville was pretty cool when I was in college. What do you think about Cam getting released? Surprising. Very, very surprising. You probably saw my tweet a little earlier today where I said there was never any doubt that the Buffalo Bills were going to sweep the AFC East, but with this news, it is now confirmed. I mean, I mean, honestly, I mean, we're looking at a team with 3 inexperienced quarterbacks. We have the guy that finished runner up in the MVP conversation yesterday. I just think that we're about to steamroll over the entire AFC East this year. There's no there's no question in my mind. Will goes, glad Bobby Hart was cut. Bro, you and me both. And I feel like every single quarterback on our roster and practice squad is thankful for that too. That man was putting lives in danger. That man was putting lives in danger, man. Holy hell. Oh, Bill's talk. There it is. Okay, dude, I'll mod you. Oh shit. Here, hold on. I need to go to YouTube and mod you. Real fast. Hold on. YouTube. I did say that I would mod you. But my friend, while you were getting this privilege, as I tell all my mods, don't abuse. Don't abuse. Dan Mitchell. Got it. There we go. Boom. Yeah, guys. But like I said, and so what I'm planning on doing here is that I actually ended up pulling up an article from Bill's Wire. I'll look up the author here in a second, but they actually ended up listing out the entire thing, which is absolutely awesome. So let me see what's going on here. Bear with me here, guys. There he is. All right, dude. You are now a moderator. Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, but anyway, guys, listen. Now it's time for us to actually start talking business. Okay, the 53-man roster is out. We're going to go through, we're going to look at this together and then figure out, have any piece about what's going on with some of the cuts that came out and everything along those lines. So this is an article from Bill's Wire. Like I said, they were nice enough to list out the entire 53. Nick Washington, thank you, bro, for providing the research for us here so we can start dissecting this and figuring it out. Dan, who's your biggest surprise guy overall that got cut? Savage Dragon, 1,000% Reed Ferguson, but there's an explanation for that in my opinion. So we're going to go from here. Okay. So quarterback, I mean, honestly, with Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky, there was no way in hell, right? In my opinion, there was absolutely no way in hell that I thought that we were going to keep, 3 quarterbacks this year. Last year was a different story. There wasn't a vaccine out there. We didn't need necessarily an emergency COVID QB. But in my opinion, I think that just rolling with Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky, we're completely fine. We will most likely end up bringing either Jake Fromm or Davis Webb back to our practice squad. If I was a gambling man, I think I would probably, I don't know. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. I think I would probably rather have Davis Webb on our practice squad than Jake Fromm, just because he's a bit older. He's been in the league a bit longer, has more of that veteran ship. I mean, but at the same time, I think I'd almost rather Jake Fromm playing, right? As far as skill set, I think Jake Fromm's a better quarterback than Davis Webb, but interesting. But I mean, regardless, Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky, this is just a fantastic look, in my opinion. I'm joking around about this, but not really. We have the 2 best quarterbacks in the AFC East. I'll be completely honest with you. You send Mitch Trubisky to any one of those teams that are in the AFC East besides the Bills, he's starting. 1,000%. You cannot prove me wrong. Okay, so that right there, that was interesting. I mean, that was easy though. I mean, I feel like everyone predicted that at that point. Now it comes down to the running back. Okay. Ooh, and I do not see a name that a lot of people were hoping that would have made this team. But Singletary, Moss, Breida, that was 1,000%, 1,000% predictable. Reggie Gilliam, fullback, who impressed. Even seeing that guy work out as the tailback was very impressive during one of those preseason games. And then Tywan Jones, right? I mean, you legitimately cannot not have Tywan Jones in this team. He's a huge contributor to special teams. Special teams is very important for a good team. It's just how it is, So yeah, so we have Singletary, Moss, Breida, Reggie Gilliam, fullback, and then Tywan Jones. Now, a lot of people, right? I know that a lot of people they felt a lot better about Antonio Williams, but at the end of the day, I think that they got this right. I mean, I liked, the whole Antonio Williams story from last year during the regular season, but I still think that the Bills will very much so bring him back in the practice squad and continue to let him develop. And Elliot says Breida is going to win over the Bills fans this year. Dude, I mean, I am a believer. Like, I really think that Breida has not lost anything in there, which is interesting. So, I mean, what do you guys think about this running back room right now? Were y'all wishing that Antonio Williams were to end up taking Tywan Jones or Matt Breida's spot? Like, what are y'all's overall thoughts? Would you change anything? And, I mean, we should do that for every room, too. I think that that's interesting. I really want to hear your thoughts on this. Singletary, I will tell you what, though, made me a believer. Granted, it's preseason, right? I mean, he was going up against second, third string DBs, linebackers, and defensive line. I mean, I really don't know how to look at that from that perspective, but so we'll see what's going on. So Dan has to talk about the running back here. He goes, Gilliam is great because he doesn't give away the play. Tight end, fullback, or is he running the ball? I mean, he's an asset. He's been an asset to this team for a while. So definitely saw this happening. This running back room was exactly what I was expecting. Matthew Smith, me too. I mean, dude, like, I love like all the feel good stories about, like the camp sweetheart and stuff like that. But I knew going into it, unless Antonio Williams like went out there and absolutely dominated every single time that he touched the ball, like zero mistakes, I didn't think he was going to make this team. Because number one, Breida, I mean, we made a financial investment off of that. And then as far as Tywan Jones, he's just way too important to our special teams. And we're not keeping more than 5 running backs, right? Especially since we ended up keeping 7 wide receivers, which is pretty crazy. Matthew makes a great point right here. He says, pass first anyway. Just need a guy who's going to be able to do the work when really called upon. 1,000%. So that right there, that's the running back room. Like I said, I really don't think that there was a lot of, let's say, reservations, if you will, or people that were upset about how this looked. I mean, I'm fine with this. This is where it gets interesting. I'll be completely honest with you. I did not foresee us ever keeping 7 wide receivers on this roster. I never thought, but I mean, really based off of the performances and with Isaiah McKenzie's injury, 7 became a lot more realistic, and it turned out to be factual. Stephon Diggs, we have Emmanuel Sanders, obviously, Isaiah McKenzie, Marquez Stevenson, Jake Kumaro, Gabriel Davis, and Cole Beasley, right? In my opinion, this is, I would say, a pretty hot take. Stevenson wouldn't have made this 53 if there wasn't an injury scare with Isaiah McKenzie. I know Stevenson did very, very well in the preseason, but I think he made this team exclusively because I have a feeling McKenzie's going to go on the IR for a little bit. It's the only reason why I think Stevenson made. But, I mean, for all we know, he could ball out these first couple of games. He's our new guy. So definitely interested from there. Dawn seems to think that the wide receiver room was exactly what she expected. I agree with you right there. But, I mean, I was surprised that Stevenson made this team. Not so much that he made the team. He's talented enough to make a roster. I just didn't see the Bills carrying more than 6 receivers. But like I said, I just have a really strong feeling that it had to do with the Isaiah McKenzie injury, and that just caused a domino effect of why we did end up going with 7 receivers this go around. But I mean, honestly, we're stacked at receiver, y'all. We are stacked at receiver. Like, just looking at this, I mean, we got depth. We have playmakers all over the board. Dawn says, I don't agree on Marquez. I had him making it 2 weeks ago before the injury. No, yeah, I mean, he's a great receiver. I just never noticed the Bills ever taking more than 6. So I thought that, Bean was going to go out ahead and sort of stick with that mentality. But I mean, I'm definitely not suggesting that Stevenson didn't deserve it. He's a hell of a player. It was more so of, damn, Bean actually went with 7 this time, but super sick. Okay, Bills Talk 716. Great question. And then that's actually a great segue into the next room, which is Dawson Knox and Tommy Sweeney being the sole tight ends on this roster. Maybe you want to count Gilliam, perhaps. But this question is interesting. I find this right here. Dan, Do you see Hollister being cut, meaning Bean might make a move for Ertz? Okay, so this means one of two things right here. And we're not going to find out what this means until I'd say the next couple of days. Number one, we either wanted to cut Hollister and we wanted to re-sign him on a better deal, right? Re-sign him onto the team, make it happen that way. Or we are making a move for Zach Ertz, because I'll tell you what, 2 tight ends isn't enough. Not at all. I mean, you at least need 3 at this point. So it's either that the Buffalo Bills are going to re-sign Hollister on a cheaper deal, a more team-friendly deal, or they did just make room, or they did just end up making room for Philly, right? For Ertz to come on this team. We really don't know at this point, but it's definitely something to look into. Drop Tommy, keep Hollister. That's what I want to happen. Yeah, dude, like the Sweeney signing, like him staying on this team was actually surprising to me as well. I didn't really think that he had that much of an impressive preseason, but I mean, there's something going on in Bean's head. There is something going on in Bean's head about that tight end room. And it's either that he's trying to make a financial move, he's trying to save some money, give Hollister a better deal, or he really is finally going to sign Zach Ertz, which I completely refuse to make another video on unless we actually do end up signing him. So are you happy that Bobby Hart is released? I mean, dude, he was just a liability out there. He was a liability. Okay, so tight end, we chatted about that. That's going to be pretty interesting here. Let's scroll on down. Okay, now it comes offensive lineman. Okay. Mitch Morse, Deion Dawkins, John Feliciano, Darrell Williams, Cody Ford, Ryan Bates, Spencer Brown, Ike Bodiger, and Tommy Doyle. I mean, honestly, this makes a lot of sense. Everyone is noticing the meme in the chat right now where people are like, hey, are you glad that Bobby Hart got cut? Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking at this entire starting, 53-man depth chart, this is essentially the exact same offensive line as last year, minus the 2 rookies in Spencer Brown and Tommy Doyle. So I really like the continuity. I thought the offensive line did wonders for Josh Allen last year. I like the chemistry. As long as all these guys can stay healthy, I'm very happy. There's nobody that was cut from the offensive line that I was genuinely upset about. I had my hopes up with Forrest Lamp, but I mean, he just ended up getting hurt and he didn't have enough time to, sort of move forward with that. But I mean, I really, really, really like our offensive line. I'm not sure if anybody has any issues from that perspective, but I mean, I am a huge fan. Defensive line. This is where I saw some surprises, and I'm very happy about this, right? Jerry Hughes, Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, Star Lutulele, Mario Addison, Mr. AJ Epinesa, F.A. Obata. So good. Good for him. Good for him, man. That's awesome. I'm very excited about that. Vernon Butler. We have Ed Oliver, who, in my opinion, dude, this is his make or break year. I need to see something from Ed Oliver this year without me starting to think that he's a bust, to be honest with you. But I mean, he did have a couple of splash plays week 3. Harrison Phillips, who I thought was on the chopping block, but looks like we ended up making enough. And then Justin Zimmer locking in this defensive lineman position. I mean, honestly, out of all of those guys right there, we ended up keeping a lot. I think that this is the perfect room for the defensive end position. And I mean, really at the end of the day, we can just sort of move forward with that. But I mean, I'm definitely happy about it. Harrison Phillips definitely got me worried for a little bit. I thought that he was going to be a cap casualty, but somehow we were able to bring everybody here. And yeah, Donald, same here, 1,000%. I'm very glad that we were able to keep Obata. And so I think that he performed very well. I mean, I'm not anticipating him to go out and just break league records by any means, but I think that what he demonstrated in camp, he seemed to be relatively efficient in the preseason. I'm happy with it. I have nothing ready to go. Richard Rush is not a fan of Vernon Butler. Well, and so as a lot of us know, right? I mean, we just ended up shipping off, a defensive tackle just the other day, right? So in my opinion, Vernon Butler could be trade bait. Could be. But I mean, overall, I think that this is good. John Mitchell goes, Dan, what happened to Ms. Dan? Dude, I was never, dude, I wasn't married. That was just an ex-girlfriend. Since then, I've upgraded significantly on several different levels. But yeah, that's old news, man. It's been done since November. Anyway, scrolling on down, linebacker right here. This was basically pretty interesting. I see Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano, AJ Klein. And then this bullet point is completely blank. If that was the case, I'm going to go on ahead and assume that they meant to put Andre Smith in there. Was it to say that they went up? I would say that Andre Smith was probably the other one. That's a typo. I'm pretty sure that Andre Smith made this team, right? Let me see. Andre Smith. That's not the right one. For Bills. Yeah, Ryan, he did. Yep, 1,000%. Yeah, so it looks like this article just ended up having a typo. But I mean, this room was relatively predictable as well. I would say one thing that I did see, I think Andre actually ended up Ketty, my guy. And so I think that Andre ended up sort of winning his spot on the roster just by basically decapitating Justin Fields that one preseason game. So, I mean, he definitely deserved it. But, I mean, as far as expectations for this entire room, I really want to see Tremaine Edmonds be Tremaine Edmonds, right? I really, really, really want to see this. Matt Milano, I just want to see that new contract we gave you, earn that. And then AJ Klein, just give me the same thing that you gave me last year, right? Go from there. Cornerback. We have Trey White, obviously, Levi Wallace, Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson, and Sierra Neal. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, I really have no issue with this whatsoever when it comes down to it. I mean, honestly, within these five, there was nobody else on this roster that I thought that even had a chance of replacing any of these guys. I know that a lot of people were like super hype about Wild Goose, I think. I think a lot of people were like super happy about the Wild Goose situation once we ended up drafting him. I think exclusively just because he had an interesting last name, right? But I mean, I really like, well, let me take a step back, actually. I love our starters. I don't like our depth, right? And specifically, that's with Dane Jackson, right? I'm not a Dane Jackson believer. I think that we could improve in the CB2 position, even over Levi Wallace, who's probably going to be starting CB2. Depth is a concern from this point, but I do think that we have the best guys on the roster. Sierra Neal, he is absolutely tremendous in special teams. He got roasted, I want to say, when he was lined up on the outside against the Packers against one receiver, or maybe it was against the Bears. But I mean, dude, man ended up getting absolutely roasted, burned. So let's just hope that he is exclusively special teams, and there's few and far opportunities where we would need to rely on this guy from, for actually having to, let's put it this way, start and line up on the outside. So interesting there. Safety. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Jaquan Johnson, and Damar Hamlin. I mean, I definitely see that. Love Damar Hamlin. Really love the Damar Hamlin pick. I think that he's going to be great depth. I think that it's going to take some time, I would say, for him to actually develop, but I'm very, very, very excited about him. I hope that as he matures, especially once it starts getting toward the end of Micah Hyde's contract, when he starts getting a little older, I hope that he could be the guy that can line up against Poyer or line up next to Poyer, rather. Same with Jaquan Johnson. Very effective as a backup guy. I am not upset about that whatsoever at all. Specialist. This is where it got interesting. Okay. Tyler Bass, Matt Hack. There's no Reed Ferguson. I really don't know. Dude. If I had to guess, I'm assuming, because I thought I read somewhere that Reed Ferguson was like one of the highest paid long snappers in the entire league. I mean, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if we just released him so we can just give him a new contract and sign him immediately the next day, right? I mean, that's the one thing that I'm thinking, because there's no way that we're going to let AJ Epinesa be the long snapper for the remainder of the time. There's absolutely no way. Long snapper is actually a very important position for a football team. You know, I mean, if you have someone that's super inconsistent when it comes down into long snapping, you're sacrificing points at the end of the day with lack of efficiency. I hate seeing Reid Ferguson go. But like I said, in my opinion, I have a strong feeling. I have a strong feeling that we're going to have him be re-signed tomorrow on a lighter deal, because I'm almost positive that last time I read, he was like the highest paid like long snapper in the league. So I could see why Brandon Beane would want to go on ahead and make that happen. Okay, this is interesting. So Pepe Laugh has a theory on Reid Ferguson right now. And he goes, the Bills just want Reid to go through waivers and not a rookie. Then we'll cut a rookie and sign them to the practice squad. Interesting theory. Matthew says, I believe Reid is the highest paid long snapper in the league. Yeah. So that's the only thing that makes sense to me, right? That's the only thing that makes it make sense to me. Reid won't go through waivers as veteran. That's right. Snoop Dogg was Wild Goose's cousin. Oh, man. That's hysterical. I didn't know that. I had no idea about that. Yeah, Rick James, I 1,000% understand. 1,000% agree with you. But, I mean, overall, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I'm really not pissed off at this. Like, there's no player that didn't make this team that I'm pissed off about, right? Like, I mean, like, there was definitely, like, some head-scratching moments, like the Hollister and the Reid Ferguson cut or release. But at the end of the day, I think that we just did that just so we could restructure them and then sign them up again. So, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I'm really not mad at this roster whatsoever. I think that this is the best roster in the AFC East. I can tell you that right now. This is 1,000% the best roster in the AFC East. There's no question in my mind about that. So I see Brian Dable is leaving if the Bills don't win the championship this year. Yeah, well, I mean, dude, he deserves it. I mean, he deserves to be a head coach. He should have been a head coach last year. Listen, I wouldn't even be upset. I wouldn't even be upset if he left like next year to be a head coach, because I know that we need to appreciate him this year, because the rest of the league is dumb as shit for not hiring him to a team. There's a lot of dumb organizations, and we just ended up benefiting on their dumb decisions for having Dable on this team a little bit more. So we'll see. Kendarian Smith, bro. I agree with you. And a lot of people get pissed off at me when I say this. Richard Sherman, down with that. Why do you think we're restructuring Jacob Hollister? Why do you think we're restructuring Ferguson? Just saying. Might be saving up some money, building some caps so we can make a nice little move. Sherman would be great. Dude, I could care less what he did to Adore. Who cares? And people get a little drunk every now and again. It doesn't mean that they're not a good football player. Yeah. And so if you're a good football player, especially when you're in a Super Bowl window like this, you take anybody you can. Listen, like good spirited locker room guys, those are really only important when you're middle of the road and you're rebuilding. Super Bowl years, fuck it. Bring them on. Just bring over those players that get in trouble all the time. If they can ball, whatever. It's a year. Super Bowl. Let's win it, baby. Seems the Bills value CB2 a lot less than the fans. Yeah, dude, I just think that they're and so I think that they're just very happy with Levi Wallace. Like, they think that that's enough. And I mean, granted, not every team has as talented of a safety room as we do within Hyde and Jordan Poyer. I mean, and like somebody else ended up just putting that out. Like, I mean, like, we're a large like zone scheme defense. So there's really not many opportunities where we're seeing man-to-man out there, right? And I mean, Levi Wallace is actually pretty good at zone. So I mean, there's no issue. Like I think that we'll still be able to be pretty effective now that our pass rush has improved. But I mean, still, I would not be opposed whatsoever if Sherman were to be a Buffalo Bill. So FGH says Sherman has the IQ, but his body able to hold up for the entire season. He only played in 5 games last season, and he recently had to come back from an Achilles tear injury. Yeah, like, I mean, I'm hoping that this wouldn't be a repeat of Josh Norman. But really, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just like super, I don't know. Like, for some reason, I feel like a Richard Sherman at his age right now is better than Levi Wallace, who is most likely in his prime right now. That's me. And so, I mean, y'all probably think like I'm like the biggest Levi Wallace hater. But I don't know. I just really like the idea of having Sherman on this team. And yeah, Dylan, I agree with you. Levi has improved a lot. He certainly has. But right now, I mean, I think that we just need another like very good CB2. Cam Newton back up. And so Cam Newton's now a fashion designer. And so Kendarian agrees with me. He says, I agree. Sherman is greater than Levi. 1,000%. I could care less about his off-the-field issues. This is the Super Bowl year. And so we're drafting talent. I could give a shit about character. That sounds so toxic, but it's true, man. It's true. And if any of our CBs get injured, we're in a bad spot. I agree. I don't think Dane Jackson can fill in. I really don't think that Dane Jackson can fill in. Tom Wassencroft says, would prefer an upgrade to guard before adding a veteran DB. Miami and New England have a top 5 defense. We play each twice. Wouldn't mind using draft capital to add an upgrade to Ford and Bodiger at guard. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's definitely a really good point. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that we can get away with Bodiger, and I think that we can get away with Ford as well, just due to the fact that we have a mobile quarterback. If we had, like, say, for example, slow, not so quick on their feet, a strict pocket passer, then I would tend to agree with you. But I think that Allen's like threat, like with his legs, I think that we can get away with having those two sitting at guard. And plus, I mean, we also have John Feliciano, who's fully capable of playing guard. He's done well at guard. So I would be fine with it, to be honest with you. Where's Richie when you need him? Kendarian Smith, what do you think about us adding Hollister back? Are we looking for a trade? Dude, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've legitimately been sort of scratching my head and trying to figure out what would be a good. I mean, it honestly means one of two things. It either means that we're trying to restructure his contract. I don't believe that we gave him a ridiculous contract. I mean, I think it was pretty damn close to the veteran minimum. I don't see us giving him just like any type of crazy money. So, I mean, really, what's the restructure, right? I mean, what's the restructure at this point? So the other reason is that we have every inclination of going out there and picking up a tight end or trading for a tight end. I'm not even going to say it's Zach Ertz because I've said it a million times, and I don't know. I feel like anytime I suggest it, it's whatever. We should have kept EJ Gaines. Ertz, yep. Yeah, that's the guy. Might be the guy. Because, I mean, like I said, I mean, we could have like restructured Hollister, but like I said, I don't foresee his contract. I didn't think his contract was much more than the veteran minimum, right? So the minimum that you can give him. Like, I mean, he didn't get some star-studded contract. The Reed Ferguson thing makes sense because he's the highest paid long snapper in the league. I could definitely see that, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's weird to me. Weird situation. So okay, so looks like John Mitchell goes, Dan, what is one piece that the Buffalo Bills is missing for a Super Bowl run? Dude, I think that we have all the pieces that we need for a Super Bowl run right now, but if there's any improvement that I would like to make, I think top priority CB2. Top priority CB2 in my opinion, but I think with the roster that we have right now, we can win the Super Bowl. And I mean, listen, I'm not one to sit here and just be like, hey, like, Um, and so the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl every year. Like this year, like I sincerely believe that we are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, I think that we have the best roster in football. We really do. So, I mean, and so Apex says, what about Desmond Trufant? What about him? He was just released. I mean, it's definitely something to consider, but I mean, I have a feeling that if we're making any type of move on CB right now, we're swinging for the fences. Like, I mean, like we're going for a big name. We're not gonna, yeah, like I mean, like we're not gonna go from somebody that ended up getting released off of talent only reasons, right? And so Darian goes, just give me one Super Bowl. Me too, bro. One before I die, bro. One before I die. Let me get like a taste of heaven, right? Interesting. Okay, so Pepe Laugh goes right here, and this is actually super interesting. Do you think that Rousseau will have an instant 70% of snaps versus the Steelers, or later on in the season we'll use him a lot? Bro, I have a feeling that we're going to like sort of baby him into the system. I'm seeing he's starting off probably around like the 40-50 range, and then once it starts getting to the end of the season, we're going to start seeing Rousseau a bit more in the 60-70% range. He's young. I think that he is in shape to handle that amount of playing time, but I think that we're going to ease him into this. Like we're going to ease him into this eventually. Ben says, do you think the tight end room is an issue? Right now, looking at it, we only have two that are on the roster. We have Dawson Knox and Tommy Sweeney. But like we said, since we ended up getting rid of Hollister, this room is being addressed. It is either we're re-signing Hollister on a better contract, but like I said, I'm not so sure how much I believe that because, I mean, how could we make that financial commitment to Hollister any better? I mean, I'm pretty sure that he was paid close to the minimum of what he was allowed to be paid. It's not like we gave him some star-studded deal. So we'll definitely enter the season and into week one with more than just two tight ends in the room. And if that's the case, then we're probably going to bring somebody else in. But if anything, I'm hoping we just bring back Hollister and then we take whatever funds we've been able to move around and just go out and get a solid CB2. And so Pokemon Professor goes, only throw Knox the hard throws. I agree. Yeah, dude, I agree. Like and so Dude Man only seems to catch like the very difficult ones. You know what I mean? It's just kind of how it works out. And so Trufant's definitely better than Levi. We have $7 million left in the cap room. Yeah, Pepe, but I think that I don't even think that's enough for Sherman either, which is crazy. And so I can see Rousseau forcing their hand. He's going to give them no option but to play him a lot. Hey, listen, if he's producing, I am 1,000% okay with it. But hey, Dom Mafia, listen, I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. Like I said, I have a fantasy football draft starting here in about 15 minutes. I am drafting 11th. So this is going to be one of my more difficult drafts right here. But thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed the 53-man roster dissection. Be on the lookout for a video tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a Madden simulation tomorrow. So if you're into those Madden vids, they're coming, baby. I'm starting a Bills franchise. We about to be good. We're about to have a very exciting season filled with some juicy-ass content. Dow Mafia, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate you for tuning in. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.